Hey Julie, what is the coolest technology at DCC?
Probably the iPads we got this year. I love when I get to work on them.
I can think of something even cooler.
Do you mean the smart birds? I love when Miss Ford lets us play games on them.
Nope. Have you ever heard of cochlear implants?
No, but if they're that cool, you've got to tell me.
Miss Ford, will you help me?
Certainly, Maestro. Since I'm telling you about a very cool piece of technology that is used to help people hear, I'll start by talking about sound and how the ear works. Have you ever noticed that when I pluck a string on my guitar, it vibrates? Those vibrations are creating the sounds that travel through the air into your ear. Once the vibrations reach your ear, there are 3 parts of an ear that it goes through. First, it reaches the outer ear. That's the part we can see. Then it goes through the middle ear. That's where your eardrum is. There are also 3 tiny bones in there. They're called the anvil, stirrup, and hammer. Finally, sound goes into the inner ear. Let's look a little more carefully at this process. The sound waves enter through your ear and go to the ear canal, which is the tube between your outer and middle ear. It then comes to the eardrum. Side note, have you ever noticed that the djembes in our classroom have a thin plastic that vibrates when you play it? Sometimes you can even feel those vibrations on the floor. The sound waves make a very thin skin called your eardrum vibrate in a similar way. Next, the sound vibrations pass 3 tiny bones I told you about, and the sound gets even louder. Finally, the sound goes through the spiral-shaped cochlea. Within the cochlea are tiny hair cells and fluid. The hair cells send the sound information to the auditory nerve. That's the part where your ear gives the information to your brain. Your brain can understand the sound. The hair cells in some people's cochlea can become damaged. When that's the case, the sound can't get to the brain. Here's where the cochlear implants can help. People with cochlear implants wear a special device. First, the sound goes into a microphone that they wear on their ears.
Great, that's cool!
The sound goes into a tiny computer and then into a processor. The processor sends the sound to another computer inside the skull. From there, the sound is sent to an electrical device that the doctors have placed inside the cochlea. The device sends a signal to the brain.
Cool.
Now the person is able to hear without needing the tiny hair cells.
Wow, I get it.
As you can see, Julie, cochlear implants are really cool.
They sure are, Maestro. Miss Ford, thanks for telling us about them.
I'm happy to.
Miss Ford, I know someone who has one. How can I be helpful to them?
Here are some tips that you can use to help a friend with cochlear implants. When you're talking to them, talk normally. Don't try to go faster or slower. You can be a little louder, but don't shout. Make sure your friend is able to see your face. Be considerate. Think about how loudly you're working when you're working in groups. Loud classrooms make it harder for kids with cochlear implants to hear. One DCC student said that the hardest place for her to hear is in the cafetorium.
That makes sense.
Great. What can other teachers do to help?
Here are some teacher tips. Help the child to make sure their implant is on and working correctly. Create secret signals with the children who have implants so that they can discreetly communicate their needs to you. When a student shares with the class, identify that child by pointing or saying their name so that the student with the implant can focus on the speaker. Allow a child to move seats when necessary. Use visuals whenever possible. Do what you can to lower noise levels in your classroom. Provide visual cues and body language. Work with the experts in your building or district, such as language pathologists, reading specialists, and sign language interpreters. Educate yourself on cochlear implants. Be cognizant of the lighting and visibility in your classroom so that your students are able to see your face. Set achievable, high expectations for the child with the implant. Make sure you have the child's attention before you begin giving instructions. Give the child extra time to process the information they've heard.
That's great, Miss Ford. Thanks for telling us about them.
We learned a lot. Bye. Hey, Julie.
Powered by Video.